Abram believed the Lord, and he credited it to him as righteousness. Abraham was born in the land of Ur and was originally called Abram. Terah decided to move to the land of Canaan along with Abram, Abram's wife Sarai, and Lot, Abram's brother's son. They came to Haran, where Terah lived until he was 205 years old and died. God then told Abram to go to the place he would show him. Abram set out on his journey with Sarai and Lot. When Abram reached Shechem, God said to him, "I will give this land to your descendants." Abram built an altar at that place near the land of Bethel. Because there was a famine in the land, Abram, acting on his own understanding, decided to move to Egypt. God was with them throughout their journey. Eventually, they returned to the place where they had previously pitched their tent. As their wealth increased, strife arose between Lot's herdsmen and Abram's herdsmen. Lot decided to move far away to the prosperous land of Sodom. After Lot separated from Abram, God said to Abram, "This land is given to you. Your descendants will be as numerous as the sand on the ground." Although Abram was saddened by Lot's departure, he removed his tent and moved to Hebron, where he built an altar. Sodom was a land of sinners in God's eyes. After Lot settled in Sodom, 4 kings, Amraphel king of Shinar, Arioch king of Elasar, Chedorlaomer king of Elam, and Tidal king of nations, made war against 5 kings, Bera king of Sodom, Bersha king of Gomorrah, Shinab king of Admah, Shemeber king of Zeboyim, and the king of Bela. They seized all the possessions of Sodom and took its people captive. When Abram learned that Lot had been taken captive, he gathered his 318 trained men and pursued Chedorlaomer. He defeated Chedorlaomer and his allies and recovered all the people and possessions. The king of Sodom and the neighboring kings met Abram to thank him for his actions. They offered him gifts, but Abram refused, saying he did not want anyone to claim they had contributed to his prosperity. Melchizedek, king of Salem and priest of the Most High God, brought forth bread and wine and blessed Abram, saying, "Blessed be Abram of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth, and blessed be the Most High God, who has delivered your enemies into your hand." Abram gave 1/10 of his possessions to Melchizedek. The word of God came to Abram in a vision. "Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield, your protector from enemies." Abram asked God about his inheritance, mentioning that he was childless and his steward Eliezer would inherit his estate. God reassured Abram, saying, "I will give you a son, and your descendants will be as numerous as the stars in the sky and the sand on the ground." God made a covenant with Abram and instructed him to bring a heifer, a goat, and a ram, each 3 years old, along with a dove and a young pigeon. Abram brought all these before God, cutting the larger animals in half and placing the halves opposite each other, but he did not divide the birds. Abram foresaw the future of his descendants. Despite this divine promise, Sarai gave her Egyptian maid, Hagar, to Abram so that he might bear a son through her. Abram took Hagar, but when she became pregnant, he returned her to Sarai's household. Hagar felt more honored in Abram's eyes than Sarai did, leading to mistreatment from Sarai. Unable to endure Sarai's harshness, Hagar fled to a spring in the wilderness, where God spoke to her, instructing her to return to Abram's house. Hagar bore a son to Abram when he was 84 years old, and he named him Ishmael. God made a covenant with Abram and commanded him to keep it through circumcision. Later, God appeared to Abram as 3 men. Abram invited them into his home, and they blessed Sarai. However, she laughed at their words, believing it impossible for her to bear a child. The men then changed Sarai's name to Sarah and Abram's name to Abraham. They also revealed the fate of Sodom, stating that it would be destroyed. Abraham interceded for Sodom and his nephew Lot. God sent 2 angels to Lot's house to rescue him and his family. They warned Lot that the city was exceedingly sinful and would soon be destroyed. They urged him to flee immediately without looking back. Lot's wife disobeyed and looked back at the city, turning into a pillar of salt. Abraham saw the fire consuming Sodom and moved his tent south to Kadesh. Abraham was blessed beyond the kings of the land. He dug wells, and Sarah bore him a son, whom they named Isaac, meaning, "He laughs." When Ishmael was 13 years old, he mocked Isaac, enraging Sarah. She urged Abraham to send Hagar and Ishmael away. Abraham left them in the wilderness with a skin of water and some bread. When Ishmael collapsed from thirst, Hagar cried out to God, who heard her and provided water from the ground. Later, God tested Abraham, instructing him to sacrifice his only son Isaac. Abraham took Isaac and 2 servants to Mount Moriah, preparing an altar. At the last moment, an angel stopped Abraham and provided a lamb for the sacrifice instead. Abraham called God Yahweh Jireh, meaning the Lord will provide. Through Abraham, God demonstrated that he would be with those who trust him.